it's not automatic, and thank goodness for radio talk shows and Internet for us to get this information out. That's what's rallying the troops. It certainly is in the mainstream media.
Speaking of the Internet, we're talking to Congressman Ron Paul. We now have the Cybersecurity Act. 3 days ago, finally, the national security blocked copyright treaty has now leaked, and it says open taxing, open regulation of the web, ICANN being handed over to the UN, total control, guilty until proven innocent, copyright rules, shutting down websites, ISPs, and really UN control over the Internet. Where do you stand on that, Congressman?
Well, it's very frightening, and I think that if they're successful, let's just hope that Internet is too big and too complex for them ever to have controls, but they're making the attempt. They would love to put us out of business, but I am hopeful that we don't ever allow it to go that far. But they are doing everything in the world to control the Internet, and that to me would be a real tragedy.
A lot of people say it could never happen. It's too big. They'd never try it. They are stating on record, the White House, the NSA, repeatedly in the last month, the White House has said we may have to shut the Internet off to save it, and during the flu pandemic or other emergency, only let you go to government sites. That's quite a trial balloon by the White House.
Yeah, and all those authorities are packed in, emergency legislation. They don't really have to come to the Congress to do that. They do that on occasion just to get it rubber stamped, but there's been so much emergency legislation passed. And besides, if it isn't passed, you know what, how much license they take with executive orders and the various procedures that they use. So, no, if they claim this is for national security reasons, they just go ahead and do it. So it's a very dangerous time in which we live.
You're a medical doctor, and you've also worked with the Von Mises Institute and received awards from them for your economic understanding. And, of course, this flu situation is economic for the vaccine makers. Government gets to have a power grab. But you've pointed out that Obama won't give the flu shot to his daughters. Now even Time Magazine's reporting the German government military won't take the shot with the squalene or the mercury or the interleukin-2 or any of this. So government's taking one vaccine, the people's getting another. Your take on that, Congressman?
Well, that always happens that way, and I did see a report after I made that announcement because he had said it in public about Obama's daughters not getting the shot. But since that time, we are told now they have gotten it. But you'd wonder which one they got and whether or not it had the mercury in it or whatnot. But, we've done it to our own military personnel, in the Persian Gulf War. They got a lot of inoculations, and people came back with Persian Gulf War syndrome. It was a combination of chemicals and inoculations. So it's, to me, though, it's a mixed bag because a lot of people don't want it, and they're fighting it, and they know, and they're being forced to take it, and other people get panicked into it, and they'll line up for hours and hours and hours waiting for it as if this was a really, really serious crisis. It's a serious disease, and people do die, but even these few, the numbers of people that have died from it, they're significant, but they're very small compared to regular flu. And many times the individuals, I think over 2/3 of the children that died so far had other serious medical problems. So, but the drumbeat for the fear to build up is, to me, it's all done for that reason, for the people to become more obedient and more dependent on the government.
So they're trying to set the precedent for this medical tyranny to force their will on us?
I think it's just another attempt. I'm sure there are a bunch of people who believe, well, no, this is very serious. The medical people have told us this, and this is what we have to do. But let's say it was a reasonable thing, to give people shots. I think that the real message here is, why should the government be in charge of it? If they're in charge, there's a shortage. The people who don't want it are being forced to take it. The people who want it can't get it. It's costing a lot of money. The other vaccine, the regular flu shots, are not available, and it's on and on. And right now, I saw a chart just a couple of days ago that shows that this individual believed that swine flu is going to peak, within another week or two. And if it peaks and it starts to drop off naturally, that's about the time we're going to have all these flu shots coming in and not have the the flu shot that maybe is much more important. The point being,
sure.
Why should they be in charge, and why should we turn over our health care to these clowns who are trying to distribute a vaccine? So either way,
it's bad.
It just
Congressman,
proves the point that we shouldn't be doing it.
On top of that, all over the country, schools are injecting children, even when their parents say don't do it, and the schools are saying, oops, it's an accident. Clearly, that's premeditated. But shifting gears now, we saw Republican wins in New Jersey and Virginia. The president's approval rating when he was first elected up in the 80s, now down in the low 40s. But Republicans still, by and large, have low approval ratings, unless they're like yourself, who's actually a constitutionalist. We know that in 2010, there's going to be a huge backlash. Republicans will take back a lot of seats, but if they don't deliver on smaller government and fiscal sound constitutional policies, then we're going to have a real crisis on our hands. And if we wait to get politically active until 2011 into 2012, so much of this globalization would have already been expanded and cemented. I know that this is still off in the future, but L.A. Times, New York Times, everybody's talking. I get calls every day saying, when is Ron Paul going to announce for 2012? Because if you announce early, you can build the coalition. You can get an even more elevated position in the media. You can speak for the people that don't want war, that don't want big government, that don't want banker bailouts. If you wait to announce until 2011, after your congressional win coming up, but I guess I'm being presumptive. I mean, you're not even saying you're going to announce in 2011.
No, I'm still thinking a lot about that right now. It just doesn't seem like the best thing to do, even long term or even on a short term basis. So I'm just undecided about the whole thing, so I'm not about to say that I'm planning to do one thing or another.
Congressman,
I think you make some good points, but I think time is still a little bit early to start talking about it.
But so much is happening, and if you step up even further, and no one's saying that you haven't done more than anybody else, and start building the coalition now, I really, unless there's massive election fraud, I see no way that you could lose the Republican primary. I mean, how can we allow a rhino, someone who's not really a constitutionalist, like another McCain, another Mitt Romney, to lead conservatives and libertarians down another rat hole? I mean, you are the man for the job, and I don't pretend to understand your political strategy. I know you're much more intelligent and wise than I am and have more experience. It just makes perfect sense for at least sometime in the next 6 to 8 months to announce, but you're saying you're not even sure at this time. I mean, even if you didn't win, you would have huge fundraising. You'd be able to buy ads. You'd be all over the media. You'll be the only candidate that will inject real issues. I mean, you're the only man for the job. I mean, fate and responsibility and destiny says that you are the man for the job.
Well, you have to realize you're not the average Republican primary voter. You're a little bit more optimistic about what we might be able to do. We still have a lot to contend with when you get involved in partisan politics. You followed that stuff that was going on over in Nevada, how they really handle us. I think we'll do better if we ever did it again, but they just close down shop if they think you're going to win. So you have a lot of obstacles to overcome. But the most important thing, and this is what you've emphasized as well, politics are very important, but also is getting these issues out and talking about the philosophy and why we need it and get the people energized. And that should be ongoing. Of course, that's why we keep Campaign for Liberty moving in that direction, because people have to understand things like the Federal Reserve. Just think, a couple of years ago, not too many people even talked about the Federal Reserve, and now they can do national polling on the Federal Reserve to get opinion. So in that sense, I think we're making progress.
Exactly. We've gone from almost no one knowing it's a private cartel to over 75% wanting an audit or for it to be abolished. It's only a win-win for you to run because it will elevate you. It will have you in the debates. And I don't see any way you won't run unless you've got medical problems, and you're in great shape. You look like you're 60, Congressman, and I'm just begging you for millions of other people to kick off the campaign sooner rather than later. I want to commend you for helping to get your son to run for the Senate. People need to get behind him right now. And as you said, the biggest movement now on the universities isn't the burnout fake left or the burnout fake right. It is the libertarian, free market, non-collectivist movement that you have helped to grow and energize, and you are the omnibudsman of liberty, the leading light for freedom worldwide, as even the Czech president has said, and I just want to salute you and thank you. In closing, we got 30 seconds. Are they going to be able to ram through the government takeover of health care?
Oh, they're going to get it through the House, but whether the whole thing gets through, I think they'll get part of it, but not the whole thing. So we'll wait and see. And we've adapted in this country to incrementalism. We never socialize all at once. We just take it by pieces and think that we've really resisted something. So unfortunately, it's going to get worse rather than better.
Thank you so much, Congressman. God bless you.